Hello and welcome back to Generic Sports Podcast. I'm your host, the Goose, Josh, and with me as always is Bossa Nova Jones.
Bossa Nova.
So today, we're going to talk about championship round, a little bit about the what happened in the divisional round, and all of the head coaching, GM, and just coordinator jobs that have either opened up or have been filled over the course of the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with the divisional round. Honestly, the only thing that really surprised me was that the Commanders won.
Pretty much.
I mean, I thought the Texans played really well. Their special teams hurt them,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, a few bad calls from the refs. I'm glad that they didn't call the one on, the flop by Patrick Mahomes a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, their special teams hurt them. In those penalties, like, there was definitely a 7-point swing on special teams, which would have made it a 2-point game. And so, I think it could have been a lot closer. And I will say that for the Chiefs, what really sucks about it is that I think that they could have won that game without the penalties being called. The penalties being called and the refs favoring them just adds to the narrative of why people are sick of them. They're the villains. They're, we don't care about them. We don't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Any narrative you have of why people don't like them, that it just adds to it. Why I say that the Commanders felt like the only upset is because I have no idea why Buffalo was a home underdog.
I mean, Lamar Jackson was playing like an MVP, had the stats of an MVP, but it's still Buffalo at home. Doubt them at your own peril.
I mean, it's not like, Buffalo doesn't play well at home. They didn't they didn't score 31 unanswered against this Broncos defense. That was one of the best in the league. And I mean, the Broncos held them pretty tight up until the, end of the third quarter, basically.
Mm-hmm. But when your offense doesn't perform, the defense gets tired out.
Yeah.
No matter how stingy the defense.
Yep. Well, I mean, your offense wasn't, moving as well in some of those possessions. So,
mm-hmm.
But yeah, but that's why I say, Buffalo all season looked like the better team, except for 2 games. And yes, one was against Baltimore, but there were injuries. They weren't completely 100. They were injured. They weren't completely 100%. I think Keon Coleman missed some of those games. They didn't have Amari Cooper at that time. And Matt Milano was not playing at that time yet either. So I think there were and Matt Milano might be one of the most underrated defensive players of this era.
Yeah, Matt Milano definitely helped. Their defense didn't looked better than it did the whole season with Matt Milano.
Right.
And I don't know when he returned, but it's been better. It's definitely been better with it.
So yeah, nothing I don't know. That didn't really surprise me that the Bills won. I wanted the Rams, but I thought that the Eagles would win, especially when I kept hearing the cold weather. It's like they're really gonna have to overcome that, and they almost did. But if that snow didn't come, I think that the Rams could have won that game.
Right.
The cold wasn't bothering them; it was the snow.
You're right. Right, the snow affects the ball and made them drop the ball a few times. And honestly, I don't think they would have had those turnovers if it was just cold, like you were saying.
Yeah, it just it affected them just a bit more. It was, I mean, obviously it's still cold, but it's just wet and
yeah, the ball becomes
slushy,
slippery.
wet,
the ball on the
know.
ground becomes slippery, so it may they had a few fumbles there. They don't make those turnovers. I think the Rams win the game.
Right, and then the Commanders, well, the turnovers on the Lions were just they couldn't overcome them, and
whichever team it seems like whichever team makes the more turnovers is the team that wins, because the Ravens had too many turnovers. Rams did and the Lions did.
Yeah.
And I forget
The Texans, might have had. They had a fourth down turnover. I don't know if he had an interception.
They had special teams problems, so
yeah,
that's enough. That's enough to count.
Right. I mean, the Texans actually had more yards and stuff, but they played really well. But that's pretty much it from the divisional.
Right. It was really you were pretty much like you covered everything with the Chiefs and Texans game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Other than that, I don't know how much I want to get into the championship rounds. Like, I mean, we can make a prediction, but I mean, these teams are here for a reason.
Mm-hmm. It really depends. I was looking up Matt Milano to see if I could find out about when he came back, and I saw a lot of their key players are limited or not practicing. I'm like, you gotta need these guys if you're gonna win. It was like Deion Dawkins, Taylor Rapp, and Matt Milano. I think two of them were not practicing and one was limited.
I mean, I don't necessarily mind if Matt Milano just needs to be out on the field. I don't.
As long as they play, it doesn't matter about practice. It doesn't really matter. It's really
at this point, as long as you're doing some film study and you're getting your body right, I think that's the more important stuff.
I was more worried if they're not playing more than not practicing.
Yes,
because those are key players for the Bills, and it sucks to root for the Bills, but no one but the people in Kansas City and their fans want the three-peat.
Yeah, and a lot of people want Josh Allen because he's just a nice dude. I mean, and he plays great football. I think that's a lot of especially when people are like, well, what has Josh Allen done? It's not like he's won an MVP like Lamar or been to the Super Bowl like Joe Burrow. So yeah, I think a lot of people are just like, if playing in the Super Bowl makes you, grants you some level of, etches in in stone, or whatever you want to call it, some added level of greatness, then yes, people are going to be rooting for him, for that. So for me, I don't know, just make sure you're covering Travis Kelce. Make sure the defense plays well and get your offense going. All
right, and make sure Chris Jones and no one else gets near Josh Allen.
Right. Well, at least Josh Allen can scramble away. So
at least don't get to him. Don't let him get sacked.
Right, and also have the playability where Patrick Mahomes likes to do a screen pass and let P. Ryan or Pacheco go 10 yards, Ray Davis can do that, and I think Ty Johnson and James Cook could, any of them can do that as well. So play their game and play it better. That's my thought, because that's actually the thing. If you really look at the teams, they are built very alike. I think at this point in their career, Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins, not that far away from each other. You've got a lot of good weapons that, like the quarterback's just getting the ball to these players. And, the tight end position, Travis Kelce is great, but Dawson Knox, has been clutch for Josh Allen too.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the weapons. I mean, it was a team win against the Ravens. If you look at the stat line, Josh Allen didn't even look stellar. So that's how they're gonna win the Chiefs, is by playing a whole team game.
I mean, I'll be honest. At this point, none of the quarterbacks are just doing what they have to. Patrick Mahomes didn't have 200 yards, I don't think, against the Texans. So it's really going to be a team win. Honestly, the best quarterback in some ways is Jaden Daniels in this round. Looking at the stats,
Yeah, out of the final four quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback playing statistically.
Mm-hmm.
But because
you can never count them out,
right? But that's also all four of these teams are built pretty well. I think Dan Quinn's experience is helping the Commanders flourish.
Yes, along with Cliff Kingsbury's too.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get too far into the Commanders, I just want to say that I don't know who's going to win these games. I'm just going to go say my wants. Because I think the at least on this game I think that the teams are pretty even with the Chiefs and the Bills. If you really look at them this season, they're pretty equal and they match up. You can match them up pretty well to seeing like they're very alike as far as the team goes. Mm-hmm. And I think that their defenses are going to be whoever's defense plays a little better is going to win that game. I think, because if you can get that stop, that's what's going to, when it's needed. Because I think that each team's going to, I think it's going to be very close to like the last game. It's not, I don't think it's going to go over 30 for either team. So I want the Bills. I think that's pretty obvious, being a Broncos fan, so. Plus, then I can just, root, if I almost could go either way. Well, actually, I'd still probably be rooting for the Bills if it goes that way, just because I'd like to see a new team win a championship. But, that's never won one. But I will be happy if it's Bills versus either Eagles or Commanders.
Yeah, basically, I think I guess I want the Bills to win because I don't want to worry about the three-peat. I don't know because Kansas City seems to be playing really well. I don't know if they are because, Kansas City is just Kansas City right now and the refs helping them.
Man, they better not call it like that.
That's the biggest factor is the refs giving them extra downs that saving penalty
driver
drives.
Because we saw that we did see that.
They save drives. That's what helped the Chiefs win. It's they might that might have not been the key factor. They might have still won without it, but we would have rather seen them do that rather than the refs helping them. You don't need to give the so-called best team in the league help.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. If you watch anybody on YouTube and especially Tom Grossi, you can tell, the fans can tell, they're getting, they get extra help. They do. It's it's the Chiefs and the refs are best friends. And Grossi makes fun of that because, you can poke fun at stuff where there's truth in it. At least that's how I always feel when it comes to sports commentary and stuff, and just things in general.
Well, what it comes down to is that the refs helping the Chiefs is like in wrestling terms heel tactics. Because you're not seeing, when John Cena was in his prime, you never saw him, need help from outside sources to win. Only the bad guys use the cheap tactics to win, even though they're good enough to win themselves. Roman Reigns, gigantic run as the tribal chief.
A lot of that was
he didn't need. That's what I was so upset with him when he did it. He didn't need the bloodline to win the title to keep the title because he was badass by himself. But no, he still used them and it made his matches boring. Which is the same thing with the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, boring and predictable.
Yeah.
Because it was just when Drew McIntyre, who should have won the title at Clash at the Castle in his, home country of Scotland, or any of I forget if that one was in Scotland or... Oh, no, that was the one when he faced Damian Priest. I think it was still in the UK, but either way, he should have won. And there was always interference either way with Drew McIntyre's matches. But when he was the face, that, I think, what was it, Solo? I think it was Jay Uso and stuff that came out, and, some of the Usos came out and, no, that was when Solo debuted, actually. That was it. I think the Usos weren't actually there, and that was the plan, was, now that I remember it, Solo came out. So it's that kind of stuff where, if Roman just won it on his own, it would be great, it's and I'm fine with it, but, it tells a great story, and that's, why when Cody Rhodes won it was that, people were tired of it, so you had everybody come out and help. And then when Seth was out there, and the best part was Roman finally could get his revenge with a chair shot, and he took it. Was it worth it? In my opinion, as a Seth Rollins hater, yes! Yes, it was.
As a Seth Rollins fan and super tired of Roman's reign at the time, I was glad that happened because it had helped Cody win. And that's how Seth helped.
But it was just it was a good payoff. Is
Yes,
Roman happy that he not Roman not happy about losing the belt? Yeah. But did he get the revenge? Yes. Do you think? I mean, he already is going down to having this like long ass title reign, anyways, like one of the greatest like champions ever, and gets. I mean, he loses the title, but he gets his revenge. Worth it? I think so.
I thought he actually got the revenge earlier, but I don't think it was at like a higher occasion.
I mean,
there was a lot of feuding going on when the Shield first broke up, but. To backtrack back to before we turn this into a wrestling podcast, which we should do anyway,
right?
As we just figured we have lots to talk about.
But the ultimate point was I was going to say with Tom Grossi, he has the ref character and the Chiefs character be like best friends, throw flag. And it's just it's annoying at this point, and like it's to get full circle with the WWE. It's why people say it's like it's scripted. You know, it's like why Grossi does a scripted program on YouTube. It's just that's how it feels, and people are tired of it. Like that goes back to the whole you were tired of Roman Reigns as champion of the same bullshit. That's what we're talking about. That's everything. It's all connected, and that's the point.
Yes, that's exactly why. If the Chiefs are so good, my point being, if the Chiefs are so good, they don't need to use heel tactics to win.
Right? And Roman did that a few times. Roman used heel tactics. But when he first won, I remember the Universal Championship match was Bray Wyatt was the champion because he won it like a week or two before from Braun Strowman. Then then Roman comes back. It's like, oh, I'm back because he was out because he was worried about COVID because his history with leukemia. So he wanted to play it safe, and I totally understand, and I completely respect that, especially with how I've been feeling the last couple of years with my health. I respect it even more. But that being said, he is just like, oh yeah, I'm part of the match, but I don't come out right away. So Braun and Bray are beating the crap out of each other, and then he comes in and steals wins the championship, and then faces off against Jey Uso and wins legitimately. Like he's winning. He's building his bloodline. Like that was a great setup. It just got kind of stale after kind of the Kevin Owens. There was like.
Oh, we're getting off. We're staying off. We're staying on wrestling.
I know.
But still.
I'm just comparing it like the first title reign, like the first championship where the Chiefs played the 49ers, like that was like an offensive year. Even the one where they played the Eagles, like it wasn't that bad but like this year and last year, it just hasn't felt the same. Like it's gotten boring and predictable, like Roman's reign after like the first year. Mm-hmm. That was my point of that.
Yes, well, yeah, I agree. It's early days, like, it's basically, the Chiefs were basically, we wanted them because, because I think it was still stopping Tom Brady or whatever, or in the early days of the Chiefs, when Patrick Mahomes came around. And now, like, they've turned into the villains because...
Now it's stopping Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, they win too. They just win too much. They win too much with cheating ways. The Patriots did the same thing.
For me, it was like the Kobayashi Maru. Mm-hmm. There was a no-win scenario for me where the Chiefs versus the Patriots. I was rooting for the 49ers, and that didn't work. But when it was it was even worse the next season. It was like it was the Bucks and the Chiefs, and begrudgingly, that was the year I had to root for Tom Brady and the because it was the Buccaneers. So it was
right.
What's the difference between 6 and 7? Not much when.
Right. To be fair, the AFC title game for me is the Kobayashi Maru, which is just like that year. It was the Chiefs and the Patriots. The Chiefs and the Bills is just as bad, but since the Bills haven't won anything.
Hey, they're 0-4 in the Super Bowl. Just because if they get there, it doesn't mean that they ain't going to be 0-5. Especially, I'm waiting for it to be Bills-Eagles, where you lose to every team in the NFC East. Because the Eagles are the last ones that haven't done it.
So if it does end up Bills-Eagles, then this is the bright side for me. That's like a win-win scenario for me, because either the Bills win, and even though I don't want the Bills to win, it means that the entire AFC East is the division that everyone's won the Super Bowl in,
Which
becoming the second.
And the first in the AFC.
Right, so that would be nice. And the opposite is what you said, the Bills lose to everyone in the NFC East, and that would just be hilarious. I would really want I like the Commanders more with Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels and everyone there, so that's why I'm hoping for the Commanders. But still.
I like Saquon, but I'd like to see Jaden Daniels, like for a rookie to be able to play in the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, he's got the coaching to do it. Like there's a lot of team there. Like, it's also like Bobby Wagner on the defense and Marshawn Lattimore. Like, they've got players. So I would, I think I want the Commanders, and I actually think that they can do it. Like, I just figure we could jump over to it because now we're talking about it. But like, that's my feeling on it right now.
The thing is with the Eagles and the Commanders is the only thing I'm worried about is that I think a lot of people think the same thing, is that the Eagles seem like a better matchup if the Chiefs get in. Like, they think a lot of people think the Eagles can beat the Chiefs, and I mean, let's face it, the Eagles are built really good. And Saquon's there doing wonderfully, and they have the revenge factor in it against the Chiefs if they do play the Chiefs. They really want to beat the Chiefs.
I will.
So I can definitely see that. But the Commanders thing, I think, is that Jaden Daniels so far in the playoffs. Jaden Daniels seems to have this magical effect that can make his opposing quarterback worse.
I don't know if it's necessarily that. Maybe the defense is playing better.
Or Dan Quinn's just raising the defense in the playoffs.
Right? Because I was going to say, this is where we're going to see the true thing with Jaden Daniels. Because Todd Bowles has not been the greatest head coach as far as being a defensive-minded head coach, and how that Buccaneers defense is playing. And the injuries on the Lions caught up to Aaron Glenn's, being the defensive coordinator there. They caught up, and the offense was not helping them out. So now, where I think Nakobe Dean's the primary guy out, but they've got so much talent, from Georgia, not just like you've had Georgia players, like people who've just been there for so long, like they've made a name from there, and the rookies this year. I don't know if is it Quinton Mitchell? Quinion. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if he's playing. I know he got hurt. I haven't heard about him, but I know like Cooper DeJean and him have been really great in that backfield. So, and they also have Slay back there, I think.
Yeah.
And so like there's a lot of talent. So I understand why they match up well. So like that's gonna be like for me that's the big test. Like how is Jaden Daniels gonna play against? Because like yes, I can see that defense stopping Jaden Daniels. I said I think that they can win. I don't know if they are going to win. So I just think that there is a chance for them to.
If Jaden Daniels blows them out or something, now I got to say that the prediction of something with Vic Fangio's defense messing up would finally happen, but definitely doesn't feel like it.
Right.
It better if it's the Eagles, you better not mess up. You better not mess up here or the next game, or I'm gonna have so much shit to say about Vic Fangio.
Man, now I know I said I think the Commanders can win. I think the Eagles can win now. Now I'm kind of switching as we talk about it. I don't know. There's gonna be it's a tough one.
I feel
it's so hard. This is definitely the most difficult round because you just see how these teams got here. Not just from honestly, the playoffs more than how they were in the regular season. Just seeing how their playoff runs going right now.
Right. Well, I mean, the Chiefs haven't. I mean, the Chiefs like got through like the Texans, and I'm basically I feel that who I want to win and who's going to win, I feel are complete opposites of each other. I feel like Kansas City versus the Eagles is what's going to happen, and I want the Bills versus the Commanders.
I want that one too. I think it's gonna be something like it's gonna be a mix of like I think that there's a chance that it's gonna be like Bills Eagles just because it's gonna be something maybe unpredictable and not something everybody wants nor is completely expected, if that makes sense. I think everybody's expecting Chiefs Eagles because they're the home teams. They're like playing better right now. I think everybody wants Bills Commanders because there's just so much to love with those teams. I think there's going to be something in between there.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had it, I would. I think Bills Eagles for me would be an acceptable one.
Right. Well, I said Bills Eagles. I can't lose them. So.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I might not care for Sirianni's antics, but he seems to have calmed down in the later half of the season. So, and a lot of the players in the Eagles do feel like they should feel like they do deserve winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And man, do I feel like the Giants are gonna hit themselves more if Saquon wins the Super Bowl for the Eagles.
Okay. Hey, quick question. If it is Eagles Chiefs again, and you're Jason Kelsey, you gotta root for the Eagles, right? Like you gotta, right?
You come out of retirement for one game?
It's so hard for an offensive lineman, I feel, because like
their offensive line is playing great, so like
he'd be the backup. Like I mean, I'd sign him. You don't play the backup or something like that. But
like if they need him,
I'd take him. But no, seriously, like you're rooting for the team that you've spent your entire career, that you're going to go into their hall ring of honor, that you're going to go in the Hall of Fame as like this is your team, right? Like I know that if you and me were in the NFL, like it's more of a I'm rooting for my team. My brother wins, I'm going to be happy for him, but I'm rooting for like basically if our teams were playing in the like our dream AFC Championship game, like we both rooting for our own team, but we're not. But like the loser, we're pretty much rooting for if the winner of that to still win the Super Bowl, even if it means our team lost.
That depends on who the other team is on the NFC.
I mean, I guess the only. I'd be okay if you're not rooting for the Broncos if it was the Lions, and I think you'd accept that too.
Basically, it would be the Lions. Basically, yeah, that's basically the acceptable.
I think the Lions and possibly the Vikings, just because they've never won a Super Bowl either. But like the Lions have always just been like snake bitten, like they've always been like the bottom and stuff. Like you can relate.
Well,
at the time when they had such a bad season, where like you did,
Basically, in this scenario, in this magical scenario of the Dolphins and the Broncos are in the AFC Championship game, you've seen your team win 3 Super Bowls while you've been alive. I've seen that. So if you win me, I'm still gonna be I'm gonna be bitter at this. So.
How about if it's your second Super Bowl?
What?
How about if it's your second Super Bowl? I get it. It's fair.
So if the Dolphins make it and we beat you, I don't expect any bitterness. Yeah, a small bit of bitterness. I can't expect no bitterness.
I mean, I will be rooting for you, except if it's the Lions, basically.
Oh, Well, Lions losing throughout there goes my complete prediction on the NFC side of who's making it to the Super Bowl. So, because I was Dolphins Lions and one screwed me over. One didn't make it into the playoffs, and now the other's out. So
pretty sure mine was Bengals Lions. So yeah, if those injuries didn't happen, I think they would have had a shot. So
pretty much.
So now let's.
My Commanders pick in the NFC prediction is looking great.
I still forget what I meant to go check my official one. I know I had the Commanders on one of my lists, but I had the Eagles on another, so I'm looking good. I'm looking good as far as like these four. I had these four teams in the playoffs, so.
Well, you know the coordinators of the Eagles definitely look way better than I was expecting.
Yeah,
they did not fall off. Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio both playing really well, both coaching really well. Yeah, not playing really well, but coaching really well. And, props to them. And if they make it to the Super Bowl, they better not fuck up. If they make it to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, they better not fuck it up.
Okay, so I don't know which one I picked officially, so I only have one team. Because I have a list. I thought the Commanders were going to make it and the Eagles won. And then there's another list I've got here that the Eagles would and the Commanders won. But, I mean, I did get, I got 5 teams in. So I was pretty happy about my predictions. I think I had a 70% rating, correct, predictions. I only missed, I had 4, I had 9 out of 14 or something like that, I think. Maybe it was 68. I forget the number. I did it off. I forget, and I didn't save it. But either way, I had a pretty good year. So I had more than 50%. That's all I know.
Right.
And that was unofficial one. So
right. Should we move on to the
Well, yeah. I was gonna say we talked about it. One topic we were saying we were just talking about it. If the Bills were to lose. Mm-hmm. Where would they even go? Do they fire Sean McDermott? And if so, where do you even go? Because unless it's Joe Brady, who's already in your, building, where are you?
Right,
who do you even go to?
I mean, Mike McCarthy is not I mean, he's won a Super Bowl, but I don't know if he's going to make the team that much better.
I mean, I don't think he was the problem in Dallas, and from everything I've heard, they wanted to keep Micah Parsons and everybody wanted to keep him, so
he might actually be one of the choices you make. There's 2 others, but one I don't know. They're all Super Bowl winning coaches in my head. Pete Carroll, I don't know if that would be.
That Josh Allen, Pete Carroll energy could be really good.
And this would be one of the teams that I don't know if Bill Belichick would come back for. I know,
right? Because those are the only it really would just be a Super Bowl winning coach that you really move up from, because you're not gonna get somebody who's maybe Cliff Kingsbury, but
Kingsbury,
because obviously he wasn't. I think it's becoming more apparent that he wasn't the problem and it was Kyler Murray. So we'll see how that plays out in the offseason.
Right. So that, yeah, or which I don't. It might just be all of Jacksonville's problems, Doug Peterson. But I doubt you'd take it. I would take the any of the 3 I said otherwise before I take. Well, I mean, Mike McCarthy had the same problems as Doug Peterson. I think when they both didn't have. They're both coming off losing seasons this year, so Doug Peterson is still a shot.
But I think there was a lot of wrong in that situation. I'll be honest with you, and this is what we're going to talk about, where we can, there's a few vacancies, and we'll talk about those with this. I think Mike McCarthy would be best fit in Jacksonville right now because they fired Trent Baalke, mm-hmm. and I think that was a wise move. You get you get a good a coach people like, somebody who's brought culture, because you could see that even if Dallas didn't win, I think that was a Jerry Jones thing and not a Mike McCarthy thing. Mm-hmm. And I just think that he could really help Trevor Lawrence, because I don't know where because Liam Cohen's going to stay with Tampa Bay. He's going to be one of the highest paid offensive coordinators. I don't unless you're looking at Joe Brady for that head coaching job. I don't know where else you're going, because you want to bring somebody in so that offense is stable, because there's talent. I think there's better talent in Jacksonville than there is in, like, say, a team like Atlanta, where you like Drake. Like, I really think that they've got Bijan and like running back and Drake London, and I think that's it as far as like true talent on there. But with Jacksonville, you got Evan Ingram, you've got like I think you've got a decent run game with Bigsby and ETN. You've got Christian Kirk, and Brian Thomas Jr. was amazing. Like, he was the best wide receiver, like rookie wide receiver this year, in my opinion. Mostly because I don't know if he missed a game. If he did, it was like maybe one or two. But he was their offense for the most part in this season. So like, I think there's good. So like that's a pretty good team. And if you can just get Trevor Lawrence on track, boom, you've got that division. They can fight for that division, or at least a wild card spot I think if Mike McCarthy is there, or at least Joe Brady, or not, some offensive minded coach, like even Cliff Kingsbury.
Right. I saw, like, I was looking up people that like candidates they interviewed and stuff, the Jaguars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Joe Brady, I think Joe Brady is like I think Mike McCarthy is probably one of the better choices, but I can see Joe Brady, like, see what he has, because if Joe Brady can get what he got out of what he's getting out of Josh Allen, out of Trevor Lawrence, that's what you want.
I mean, I don't think Trevor's on the level of Josh Allen, but I think there's talent around him that if he can do what they've done with the run game with ETN and
right, they're
Bigsby.
not exactly.
Is it Bigsby?
Bigsby,
yeah.
They're not exactly the same, like, type of quarterback, but if you look back at the early years of Josh Allen, no one believed in. They really didn't believe in him. They thought they were going to get rid of him, and there was a possibility he would have been the next Drew Brees if they made that mistake, Buffalo, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for me, but still.
Wait, with who?
Unfortunately for me. But still, like, I think Trevor, like, if you give the right person to Trevor, they can unlock Trevor's potential.
And they've already paid him, so like, it's really hard to move off something like that. Like, I think you've got, it's got to be certain situations where you've got a high draft pick and a good quarterback class, where it's like the Broncos and the Falcons, like, since they're going to move off Kirk Cousins, you can do that, but but I don't move off Trevor Lawrence for Kirk Cousins. Mm-hmm. And then the second interviews that they have scheduled since Liam Cohen's going back to Tampa Bay is Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator of the Raiders, and Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh does deserve another chance. I just don't know if that's in the best fit for a Trevor Lawrence. I actually think Robert Saleh would be a great fit in New Orleans, because I think that if he had a better ownership group, which the Benson family is a better ownership group, he can be a leader of men. And I think I just think that everybody undermined him in with the Jets, from like Aaron Rodgers to and ownership, and I honestly I wouldn't doubt maybe Joe Douglas at times too. So I think he deserves another chance. I just can't see him getting another. I don't think he'd be a good fit with the Raiders, because that division's so strong. I don't think it would be advantageous to him I think it'd be like a shorter term, I think it'd be a short, maybe 2-season thing if they weren't winning. It's like they really have to rebuild in, Vegas. Like, they've got a few pieces. The cap sucks in New Orleans, but I think that there's some players, and I think that if they accept that it's a long-term rebuild and you bring culture there, that like, he can get a defense to win. Mm-hmm. But with Jacksonville, I feel like you got to go with an offensive guy.
Right. The other offensive guys they have interviewed were Todd Monken and Kellen Moore.
Maybe, like, the thing is, like, I'll give more credit to Kellen Moore, but some of them are just like, I don't know how many of these people are going to be like leaders of men.
Right. Well, other candidates, they had two more, like, defensive candidates, which were Brian Flores and Steve Spagnuolo. And Steve Spagnuolo is another one that I could see actually would leave the Chiefs for the Bills if the Bills had an opening. Mm-hmm. Because if you're leaving like the Chiefs for anything, it's going to be something like Josh Allen. Because, I mean, no one thought Gary Kubiak was going to be the guy that come in and win the Super Bowl for the Broncos.
Right.
And Steve Spagnuolo kind of would have those same vibes, I feel.
Right, where John Fox was like, it's like they just didn't think he could get them over the hump. He had already been to a Super Bowl with the Broncos, but even before that with the Panthers. So, so it's like, we'll see.
Right.
I think the Raiders is a difficult situation. I'm just kind of like bouncing around right now because
the Raiders, like, you need a quarterback, but I think it's like, you need some offensive weapons, but you have like solid things on defense. But you're in the toughest division, so it's like you're gonna find someone who's like hungry and wants to be a head coach will go there. I don't know if you're gonna get any of the Mike McCarthy I could see, but I also heard like they said about Pete Carroll.
I think the biggest problem with that job is like what are you doing at quarterback? Like that like if somebody wants to go there to start a career, like what's the plan at quarterback? Like if this is like Mike McCarthy, like Dak Prescott, love him. I think I don't like I love him or hate him. Like he's not one of the bottom tier quarterbacks. Like I don't think at least he's done stuff. I don't know where you're going.
They do not have Mike McCarthy scheduled. The Raiders. I have a list of who they have scheduled. Of Pete Carroll, Vance Joseph, Todd Monken, Ron Rivera, Robert Saleh, and Steve Spagnuolo. Who I don't think Steve Spagnuolo is leaving the Chiefs for the Raiders to play his old team.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go defensive and say like, hey, we know it's going to be this is like a rebuilding job right now because it's got to be. Mm-hmm. But they need to know what they're going to do at quarterback and
Well, they have this. Well, the Raiders have the 6th pick. You could say they might take someone like Jonte and just take one of the defensive head coaches and get that middle of the ground quarterback and just focus on the run game and defense.
Yeah, you could build around that, but you could also, there's also a possibility of, I don't know how true it is about, like, if there's a chance about getting Shedeur Sanders and Dion, like.
Right, but.
Because, sometimes with the image of the Raiders and stuff, like, where they do stupid stuff, I don't think that would happen under Dion.
Right, we know, like, what? Mark Davis, like what? He owns the Aces, doesn't he? Or
yeah,
like so he knows like how he has like a championship team in one sport. So yeah, you have to imagine that he wants the success for Las Vegas with this team. So he has to start making the right decisions here, and they. Just like, what was it? The Chargers, like they said they were, the owners, like, they had the reputation of being frugal, and they get, like, Jim Harbaugh and stuff, and, like, start getting him a little more stuff. So, like, they want to try to break the image of what they are. Mark Davis needs to do the same. Right?
Because, Vegas, we're a championship town. We've got the, two-time, WNBA champions, just a couple of years ago. We've got the Stanley Cup champions with the Golden Knights. Like the Aces are just looking, like we're a championship town. So if the Raiders want any chance to, like the Raiders in name are going to be popular, like, but you're going to have people coming in from California. But like as far as I don't know how much Vegas gets excited for them as much as a home, as much as a team that's like, even though like the Aces expansion, they were named a couple different things, they have a name that reflects Vegas. The Golden Knights are an expansion, like they're homegrown here, so like
right. The Raiders,
the Raiders, if you really want to become, be part of Vegas, like you gotta win. They've never hosted a playoff game. Like the Super Bowl was the only game, hosted here, and your rivals were a part of it. So but I would honestly accept that it's going to be a rebuild for a couple of years. So they at least hired I don't know if I'm saying his name right,
John Spytek.
That's what I'm.
Or is it Spitek?
Right? I don't know. Is it like Spytek or Spitic? But
we're saying the cooler version.
right? I'd go by Spytek, but I think that's a smart move. Tom Brady's connections to Tampa Bay. I would have taken somebody from the Buccaneers and stuff that learned through, I think, some of the Patriots and some, where he's come from with Jason Light, and I think he came from the Patriots, or he came from somewhere that was
what, John Spytek?
No, Jason Light, the one that
I forget where Jason
the
Light
GM
came
from the Buccaneers came from originally, but he's done great drafting and keeping players and doing what he's had to do. So I think that's a great first step if I'm the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders. I feel that personally, I think Pete Carroll would be one of those former head coaches that could bring in a good culture. I'm surprised they let go of him in Seattle, but I know he's a bit older, but I feel like he still has it. And Belichick's Belichick's in college and going to still coach, so.
As far as some other news, I think that I don't know if it's official just yet, but it looks like Al Golden, who used to work as, I think, the linebackers coach for the Bengals, is going to come from Notre Dame to be the defensive coordinator in Cincinnati. I think that's a good move. Sucks about Lou Anarumo.
But at least he's with the Colts now.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's
a better choice.
I think that was a better
Gus
choice
Bradley.
for the Colts. I don't know if I would have fired him for one bad season, but I get it.
Right, the defense not looking good was really the problem for the Bengals, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he's the problem. I don't know if Zach Taylor's the problem, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know if losing is yeah, we'll see, and hopefully they can see what happens with some of their players.
Hendrickson for sure.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn is now the head coach of the New York Jets, which I think was the best move that the Jets can make after a bunch of lousy bad ones. But I think with his background and how he's coached and everything, I think that's the Jets could be worrisome, but I'm not gonna put.
I don't think Aaron Glenn is going to be the problem with the Jets. I feel the Jets as an organization might hurt Aaron Glenn because I know Buccaneers fans aren't exactly happy with Todd Bowles, but look at Todd Bowles outside of the Jets. He's so much better outside of by comparison outside of the Jets that Aaron Glenn I think Robert Saleh is going to be better outside of the Jets. It's just the ownership of the Jets, the vibes of the Jets are just bad.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Aaron Glenn's first season. I would treat it if it's anything like Dan Campbell's first season. Give him some time, let him build some culture, let him get rid of contracts and players that aren't maybe not that great. Let him do trades, get some drafting. He's got some GM experience. He knows a lot about the different aspects of running the team, not just on the coaching level. Is my point.
Right, and the other important thing is to let him and the GM pick the players and not have Madden ratings matter for it.
Please. We'll see if Garrett Wilson wants to still be there. We'll see who gets out. I'm not gonna be surprised if there are some players that want to get out, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some maybe Detroit players that might want to go there later. So we'll see who want to play for Aaron Glenn. So we'll see. I forget who did the Titans hire for GM? Because I thought they hired a new GM.
Yes, they did. I have that.
It's the one piece I can't.
Mike Borgonzi, the.
Out of Kansas City.
Kansas City, yes.
I think
and
that was
they also hired John Fassel as their special teams coordinator.
Oh, John Fossil.
Fossil,
yeah. No, I think that's. I remember his dad, Jim Fossil. So.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's both for great hires, especially coming out of Kansas City or any some of those teams that know what they're doing. So I think that's good for the Titans. Your division, this is definitely. I know we've already said Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat during this season. Oh, he's that seat got hotter this offseason because of between what the Jets are doing and the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel, and they took I'm blanking on who the defensive coordinator is, but
Terrell Darrell Williams.
From Detroit. I think he was he their linebackers coach or defensive line coach or something like that. But he's moving over from the Lions to be the defensive coordinator there. And
Williams was with Tennessee on his staff.
oh no, I thought he was at Tennessee and then he went to the Lions and then he came. Maybe
He might have. I don't know. It says that he spent 6 seasons with him.
Can you check if he was in Detroit this last season? Because I'm not surprised if he spent time with, because I remember he actually was coaching
he
up
was
the preseason.
he was the defensive line and run game coordinator last season.
Okay,
but he was with Tennessee before that.
So that makes sense. And then Josh McDaniels is back as offensive coordinator for the Patriots, who gave Mac Jones his best season he ever had, and then left to become the Raiders head coach. I mean, I would. If they can get stuff out of more out of Drake May this next season, they get some any kind of wide receiver help, and Vrabel's just coaching up, as a good coach. I think that they can have a faster turnaround than maybe the Jets, but I'm not gonna say that they're gonna. I'm gonna say Buffalo can win the division again right now. But I feel like just like the Broncos and the Chargers did, now the AFC East is kind of coming up again right now. It just feels like.
Well, with the AFC East, that with Aaron Glenn and Mike Vrabel joining it, hilariously that Mike McDaniel is the only offensive head coach in the division.
That's actually going to be really interesting to see how that goes.
But
for the whole team,
right? But the main thing is that the Jets need to figure out what they're doing at quarterback to see that, and I think the Patriots will be fine. But yeah, it's Buffalo's division to lose right now.
Yeah, that division is going to be interesting to see with Mike McDaniel being the only offensive head coach. We're gonna see how they do on what talent they can bring in, what they're gonna do with Tyreek, all that. So
it's really up to as long as Mike McDaniel can get back to coaching better, and that Chris Greer gets the actual pieces we need to win. If not, I think both of them are gone.
I mean, Chris Greer might get moved up, but yes, I agree that he'd probably be out as GM.
Yeah, he'll be out as general manager.
Mike McDaniel, they got to get rid of. They've got to get a backup quarterback and figure out that situation, because right now, I mean, I'm happy Tua had a great season that 1 year, but if Tua
built, I know Tua lost weight to get to scramble around, but when he bulked up, that was the only year that he didn't have a concussion. So if he bulks up again,
and injuries, there's injury in general, it was his hip that kept him out the last 2
years.
Yeah,
so if he bulks up again, I can see that be more beneficial for him, because he just needs to be stronger than he needs to be faster. The offensive line if the offensive line keeps him upright, because we were doing pretty good there, and we fired our special teams coordinator and our wide receivers coach. So if we get better there too, I feel like we can make a strong comeback and try to fight for the wild card, because I'm not, like I said, Bills division to lose, and I'm not saying we can beat them this season. I'm a little apprehensive. I'm a little skeptical this season than I was the last few seasons.
Well, when you were looking like you could be projecting up, and then you kind of petered out at the when you lost the division in 2023, and then you just kind of crashed in 2024. It's sensible to be skeptical, and honestly, I'm just thinking about it right now. You got to go offensive tackle in the first round for your draft.
It's between offensive tackle or safety, but it does depend on what we get. It's actually more offensive guard, because it depends on if retirements are, because we have Terron Armstead and Austin Jackson got hurt later towards the end of the season.
I'm just imagining somebody who can fill in for
right. They would mainly, I think, be playing guard, because I know Liam Eichenberg, who didn't play that well, is a free agent, so we do need to fill in positions at guard, and having backup offensive linemen is always wonderful, so I don't mind that. But we do need safety, because I believe we don't. Both Javon Holland and Jordan Poyer are both scheduled to be free agents. So it really depends on free agency where we need to go number one with our draft. But I don't remember the top say. I don't remember the I don't remember the last top safety. The first round safety being the best thing ever.
Buda Baker, was he a first rounder?
I don't know.
So I think safety you can get in the second round and still be pretty good to have a good safety. So but offensive tackles that's where you invest. And look at look at Garrett Bowles. So
right, we need offensive line. We do need some defensive pass rushing help. Because I love Jalen Phillips, but he can't get injured. He can't get injured this season.
Well, and I was gonna say Armstead. He was also
I don't
out
know
a
if
lot
he's
of
retiring
games
or
too.
not. I don't know if he's retiring or not.
That's who I think you're replacing. That's what this pick's going to be. But
yeah, that I could definitely see. I feel like we need to get both. I feel like we need to get rid of we have Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson. We guess we need to get rid of them. We need to bring in a new rookie quarterback, mid rounder to train as a backup and get a better backup too. I don't think it's going to be Kirk Cousins because we're not going to spend that type of money unless it's some deal Russell Wilson. But I would take Justin Fields.
I think Justin Fields or Zach Wilson will go,
Yeah.
or and maybe not the best pick, but Daniel Jones could be an option.
Daniel Jones or Mac Jones. I don't know if Mac Jones' deal,
but I think he might, because if he traded, I think he might have one more year on it. I don't know for sure. But my point being is you're gonna get somebody who was a starter who could compete and be ready to go if Tua gets hurt, or if they're not, or if he struggles, just somebody ready to go who might be looking for that second chance. I don't know where Zach Wilson's gonna go.
Oh, what was his name? I would also take Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
I mean, with the right coaching staff and the right team, he was better as a backup kind of taking over in the Colts than he was with the Raiders, but I think he's still a solid backup quarterback and could be with our team.
I think Justin Fields would be the best
I think Justin Fields is the best bet, and I feel someone like Kirk Cousins might end up the quarterback for the Raiders.
Yes. And maybe Zach Wilson. It depends on who wants it. I'd like Zach Wilson to stay as the backup for Denver. So we'll see how that all that goes.
But the other thing is, and I can kind of tie this back into with the Saints. Anthony Weaver, our defensive coordinator, is one of the people getting a second interview with the Saints. So for head coach. So I worry that I would like to be stable on a defensive coordinator for a second year, since we've had a different defensive coordinator every year with Mike McDaniel, and I'm worried that the Saints are going to hire Anthony Weaver just to mess it up again for us.
He must be interviewing really well, because I don't know if Flores and Joseph are getting second interviews like that in New Orleans, because you'd think that they had previous head coaching experience and how much better their defenses were. You'd think that they may have gotten a shot. So right, are they getting? I don't know if they're getting second interviews anywhere else. I thought you mentioned maybe Jacksonville, because those are the only 3 spots left, right? Oh wait, no, my bad. There's 4. We haven't even talked about Dallas because that isn't worth the energy.
Mm-hmm. They get enough talking about elsewhere.
True, but they're also not going to hire. I don't think they're going to hire Vance Joseph
or
Brian Flores.
Robert Saleh has the second interview with Jacksonville.
Okay.
Brian Schottenheimer has the second interview with the Cowboys. People
Who was that?
Brian Schottenheimer
okay.
for the Cowboys. I'm checking for other people. It's between Mike Kafka and Anthony Weaver having second interviews. Aaron Glenn had a second interview, but he was already hired. And none of these others have second interviews. And Anthony Weaver has such a good personality, and that he's going to be a head. If he doesn't become a head coach this year, he will probably be a head coach next year, just because of how likable he is, and as long as the defense for the Dolphins does well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So he must be, if he's likable and he's interviewing well, like honestly, then it might not be a surprise if he gets a job.
To be fair, that is the backup plan. If I don't want him to get the Saints job, because if he is really well for us and like Mike McDaniel doesn't cut it, I wouldn't mind Anthony Weaver as the head coach of the Dolphins.
I mean, on the bright side, you might get Robert Saleh as a defensive coordinator, and
right? Like if he doesn't get a job, like basically if Anthony Weaver gets hired and we don't, then I could see maybe Robert Saleh. But if Robert Saleh doesn't get hired, I feel like he might just go back to the 49ers.
Did they fire their defensive coordinator?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't hired anybody new. Okay.
I also
guess
saw
we'll
that.
See. We'll see who he likes. You know, he might want to go to with Mike.
Right. He might want to face the Jets for revenge.
Yeah.
But I also saw randomly like of other like teams firing random coordinators. I didn't realize you fired your special teams coordinator too.
Yeah, I that was in the back of my mind. I forgot to check that, but I wouldn't mind Darren Rizzi if he wants to come.
I wouldn't mind Darren Rizzi back. I don't know. I know he was with the Dolphins. Please come back.
Do you have an opening?
Yeah, we fired our special teams coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
our special
come
teams
to
were
us.
not great.
If you don't become a head coach, come to one of our teams, Darren Rizzi.
Right, Darren Rizzi. Darren Rizzi would also be someone I wouldn't mind giving a shot to because of the energy you brought if Mike McDaniel fails.
Yeah, he for me he has like some John Harbaugh with the special teams. Like I feel like special teams coordinators don't get enough love to be a head coach, and you look at Harbaugh, and then and I think he can bring a Dan Campbell like energy.
Right.
I always thought he brought the right energy, and he kept the Saints in those games when they were had nothing to play for. Like because it was it was the Saints versus the Buccaneers, and they kept it close that whole game.
Well, he did interview with the Saints, so Darren Rizzi. So I mean, there's a chance, but he's not having a second interview. So yet,
right.
Let's state yet because we never know.
I mean, yeah, I like him. Like I think he's got some potential as a head coaching candidate, even if it's not this cycle. And same thing, like I don't think he's getting a second interview, but like was it Jeff Hatley?
Yeah,
Halfley, yeah. Like I know he got some. I could see him head coaching in a year or two in the NFL because he was the head coach down in Boston College. So, anything else? I mean, we've talked for a while about just coaching, and this is just really natural and felt really good. So,
I don't know. Should we talk about Dallas?
Yeah, well, if they haven't
maybe when they get better candidate, like maybe if either they hire between hiring Kellen Moore or Brian Schottenheimer, or if they get like any more interesting candidates, because I don't know if they're getting an upgrade with Kellen Moore or Brian Schottenheimer.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like right now it's just Jerry looking for a yes man, and
I saw
maybe like I think Dion would be the best choice there, or in the Raiders, but I think he'd actually be better for the Cowboys.
Right. I saw who the Cowboys like interviewed. It was between those two, Leslie Frazier and Robert Saleh. Who Robert Saleh would be an interesting pick if he went to the Cowboys.
God, I don't know. Would he want to go there? Like I feel
no,
like
I don't think so.
Jets.
Not after. I mean, do you want to head coach again, or like with an owner like the Jets? I mean, the talent. I mean, I don't think the talent's better, but I don't think you'd get fired like because of the quarterback or something.
True. I mean, would it be a better situation? Yes, but is it like, but like, are we looking like one step up, or are we trying to get or is it the same level? I don't know. It's pretty much alike,
Right. Well, there. We talked about the Cowboys.
There we go. All right. Anything else to add? There's no real free agency news.
Nothing yet because it's January still.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm surprised. I guess the surprise Calais Campbell hasn't been released yet. I really thought that they were gonna.
Right. Maybe A might just want to stay in Miami, and weather-wise, I can see that. Or B, he just wants to wait for the Super Bowl, see if the team needs him, and he'll go to one of the teams like Buffalo.
I mean, are they allowed to do that? Like, because I know, or were they supposed to release him earlier? Because I remember the Deontay Johnson stuff. Like, he played for the Texans and then he got released, and now he's back on the the Ravens claimed him, but he can't be. They can't play him until after the Super Bowl. So
right. So it might be.
Is it that kind of situation? Why they haven't released him? Was it too late, or
it might have been too late?
Did they not want to?
Or maybe he did not want to leave. Maybe he just didn't want to leave.
Maybe he wants to come back in Miami again. So
I mean, or that, or he's still thinking, or he might just retire. But
true. I guess only. Well, we forgot one. Khalil Mack is coming back for another season, and he'll actually be a free agent for the first time. I don't know why they're saying like a first time. I guess because he signed his contract before he really looked at free agency. But I mean, I feel like in part that was your bad, man. And then I don't think we really talked about Ben Johnson and the Bears.
Oh yeah, I don't think we did talk about Ben Johnson and the Bears.
I'm interested to see how he does. I don't know if. I know you said he kind of reminds you, like, with his face,
he looks like
Adam Gase.
Yeah, I was like, I thought that was Adam Gase for a second, like, in his face, and I'm like, I mean, Adam Gase, like, helped win a Super Bowl with the Broncos, so, everyone thought he was going to, and, like, Peyton Manning vouched for him, and then he just sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends. But I think Ben Johnson has a better personality than Adam Gase. So
well, Adam Gase was also like the quarterbacks coach at the time, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, I forget what he was, but they said, but Peyton gave him a lot of credit.
Right,
so
he must have owed him one.
Right, I mean Peyton Manning helped him get the Jets job too. So that was a really bad decision after he sucked for the Dolphins.
Oh no, he was the offensive coordinator, so. Actually, he didn't win a Super Bowl with them. He just made it to the Super Bowl. He got hired before, so Adam Gase was with the Bears. I think he followed John Fox. So
right, okay. Well, and I know it probably didn't help that Vance Joseph got hired so quickly as our defensive coordinator. But I don't need to talk about. I'd rather talk about old wrestling news than old Dolphins news.
Right. But I'll just say I truly don't know about Ben Johnson. I'm wondering if he's gonna have the Dan Campbell leader of men effect. Can he rally this locker room? Can he build a culture? I don't know. I think that he drew up really good plays, but I don't know. That's one of the things is is it the opposite of say Eric Bieniemy? We haven't seen the Chiefs offense be as without him. So and he didn't really do great in Washington when he was offensive coordinator last season. Was it just part team, part Dan Campbell, part team as in players and stuff like that, or is he gonna be able to do more? Is he gonna really be able to build? I don't know. I always I feel like it's also the Bears too. It's not just him. If he went to Jacksonville or New Orleans somewhere, I just think there's going to be a lot of pressure, and that is a hard division too. So honestly, good luck to him. I don't know how it's going to go.
Right. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but even with, you have a lot of pieces in place. I don't know who their free agents are, but you have a lot of pieces in place, but you're still in one of the top, you're in the division with 3 playoff teams. It's basically the same situation as the Raiders, except for the fact that the Raiders don't have a quarterback. And we're still not sure if Caleb Williams is the answer. He looks like it, but was he really better than Justin Fields?
I think Ben Johnson was on your offensive staff during the Adam Gase years.
Yeah, a lot of people come from Miami. There's a lot of people, good people from our staffs that are coaches. What was it? Dan Campbell, Zach Taylor, Todd Bowles, Brian Dable, all Dolphins. All were with the Dolphins at some point in their career.
Just looking, he was promoted to tight ends coach under interim coach Dan Campbell. He was hired by Joe Philbin. He was retained by Adam Gase.
Yep, but at least our team was never like the Washington's team back then with Mike Shanahan with all the other ones. At least we're not like that. No one's ever gonna mention the Dolphins like that, like Washington, except for the fact that they probably will after speaking it into existence now.
Well, I mean, it's like look. It's just like, oh, look at the stuff that Joe Philbin built. Like you had Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson on the staff if they keep winning.
I know, right?
It's gonna be. Makes me want to see who else was on the staff that year. It was like the 2012 Dolphins. Yeah, let's see. Staff. Lou Anarumo was the defensive backs coach. Oh, Zach Taylor was the assistant quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, I know Zach Taylor. Like I said, Zach Taylor was on our team, so.
Right. Well, no, but it's like you've got like 3, and that was the year with Darren Rizzi. If Darren Rizzi becomes head coach, like you had like four head coaches that year. Like I mean, that could be talked about just as much. Just as much. The only reason it might not be is because Mike Shanahan won Super Bowls, unlike Joe Philbin. So
right,
that is crazy just to think about. There's 3 head coaches on that team right now.
I could probably do the research of
how many head
coaches in the league had at one point in their career was a coach from Miami, and I would have to do the research to see which team has had the most head coaches that were on their team beforehand. I know the Ravens probably have the most coaches come from a spot though.
I mean, they have a lot right now. I'll have to see about the Broncos too, but or at least at one time. Like one time right now, you got 3. I mean, it really is pretty close to those Washington teams in a decade ago. So, fascinating, fun stuff. I love history in general. NFL history is another thing, and it's all so fun. All right, I think we're good here.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you for joining us for this championship preview off-season stuff going on. This was a lot of fun. Give us a like, share, subscribe. Any feedback you have. Bossa Nova Jones and myself, we'll see you here next time. Thank you for joining us. Bye.